Hello, Steve Arts 89. Well, I recently did a superhero movie marathon over weeks. I watched all the main DC films, all of the Marvel films except Captain Marvel and the last couple of releases, which I don't own, and a bunch of random films and the X-Men films and just everything that I had that I could find from like the 70s up. No, actually the 60s. I started with Green Hornet, the TV series, the ones that were edited together as movies. I watched those. And I was sort of thinking about why this big boom in the 2000s of action hero movies. Why did the Marvel movies get so big and do so well and be so huge? And I saw a TikTok and someone was talking about it. And of course, 9/11. 9/11. Basically, before that, you can see a clear delineation between Hollywood movies. Like in the 90s, it was all about questioning authority, questioning the man, questioning all these things we believe, making fun of the patriarchy and patriotism, and just punching holes in it all, examining it all, tearing it apart, just everything. And then after 9/11, people needed clear-cut heroes and villains again. They needed their Supermans, and they needed their Spider-Men and their Green Goblins, and they needed to be able to point to all these things and look at America and say, America is great, America's full of heroes, seeing Iron Man go from a weapons dealer and making, weapons good, and taking out Middle Eastern threats and all these things, which I was aware of as I was watching these films. I was thinking about it a bit removed, and at the time it didn't really register, and just the way that they went back to the sort of, in a way, the 80s sort of American propaganda of how great America was and the best place and everything, and so it's just interesting to think about that, and it does sort of make sense. But now we see this decline in superhero movies, and people are like blaming woke and all this stuff, and I think what it comes down to is these stories have all circled around now, and now they're all starting to question authority, and the heroes are ambiguous, and you have anti-heroes like Deadpool, and I was watching some of these films towards the end, and I was starting to get offended by them. I'm like, I really don't like this celebrating these grey areas and pushing them like that's reality in the real world, and these other things are naive and infantile and so forth, like the idea of good and bad and moral, clarity. And I can see, I think part of the reason why these films are falling out of favour is that need that came after September 11 sort of has faded, and also the films no longer present that like they did before. So I can now see all these superhero eras and how they've sort of come together and shifted and changed, and the direction they've gone in and where they are now. And I'm like, that makes a lot more sense than just, they had a gay character that kissed, stuff like that, which other people are blaming everything on. And I haven't really seen anyone commenting on that and as a whole. So more just particular issues that racism and bigotry bring out, where they'll target specific little elements of that sort of re-examining of America in these films, but they always focus on just, the trans person was in this, or a gay person was in this, they'll work for this reason, work for that reason, not looking at the overall bigger sort of picture. So I had to comment on that. I thought it was really interesting, and it goes over what I just sort of realized and saw when I watched all these films back to back as a whole. Like in a couple of days I watched like I don't know, like 25 or 30 Marvel films, like the whole lot. And the only one I was missing was Miss Marvel, and the last couple, the last American, Captain America, and the Marvels. I think those are the two those three were the ones I didn't watch out of the whole lot, all the Marvel films. And it was interesting to watch them all like that. And I watched them in chronology, like the actual when what film took place, not when they were produced, the years they were produced, but the years that they were based in. So watching the characters develop and the stories develop and the histories and all that, was interesting. And then also being aware of the order that they came out in, and how the era they came out in, and why they did so well, and why they took off, and why they became so big. And it all makes sense now, and now I can see the trajectory of it all. And I'm curious now where they're going to go, because even if they went back to all that patriotic further and, moral clarity, I'm not sure the audience is there. I think the audience has become cynical again and is starting to re-examine everything and not going to just eat all that up, even if they were serving it, which they're not anymore. So I thought it was all interesting. I'm going to go. Feel free to share, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think of the superhero era, the golden age. I guess it's over. Where's it going to go? I don't know.